Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be unboxing the Elegoo Neptune 2. I was vigilant and I watched Amazon and it finally became available. So we're off to the races. There we go. Looks like it's glued down just a little bit too. Apologies if you have any issues hearing me. The camera and microphone are just a little bit further away than they usually are. Okay, getting rid of that. We've got a user manual. Then we've got the build plate. Looks like the crossbar, the hot end, power, and some more bits. So let's very carefully pull these out. Okay. And it looks like the hot end is connected already. Okay. We're going to set these aside as we get the rest of it out. Got some binder clips in here. These binder clips are going to be used to hold in place the build material, or the build plate. Let's get you out of here. Then we've got power supply, looks like X-axis, bag of parts, the filament holder, assuming this is the Z-axis, the actual extruder, let's see, here's that axis, which I've already pulled apart. I don't even know how that went together. I guess we'll find out in just a minute. Power supply. There we go. Gonna need that. Whoa, that's light. Like, maybe scary light. Look like the uprights and the Z-axis screw. Anything under the bottom. Oh, we have a loose screw. Not sure where that came from. Actually, two loose screws. And it's got a finger hole. Gonna check the bottom. Yeah, nothing there. We're good. Looks like we've got everything out of here. And it's about time to start putting things together. Let's go ahead. And I'm pretty sure these screws fell out of here. Right here. We'll get to that in a minute. But since everything connects to the bottom, we're going to go ahead and move that front and center. Yes, I realize it's probably going to be upside down or backwards for you. At least all the text will be. But I need to be able to see to read. And there's no space between me and you. So we're not going to do that. Okay. Like that. So this is going to sit off to the side until we need it. Power supply and power cable going off in the corner until it's time for that. Okay. So just to get these out of the way, binder clips going to go ahead and go onto the build plate. And then it's time to pull the other bits out. Just want to go ahead and get these undone so I can get to them in just a bit. Did a good job wrapping these things up. I don't really see any damage whatsoever. It was well packaged. I didn't expect to see any damage. Okay. Got one of the uprights, two of the uprights. Sorry if that's kind of loud. I know it's not bad for me, but since you are on the table, you probably hear it a little bit louder than I do. Okay. Z-axis rod out. Okay, there we go. Where was our little bag of parts? Oh, we lost it. There we go. This right here is going to have our tools and our accessories. Pull this out. Okay, we've got a scraper, which is pre-bent and totally unusable. I don't know if you can see that, but the edges are bent and it would dig into the build plate if we actually used that. So, garbage. Thank you for shipping me garbage. Okay. Got our USB connection. That's going to go into the Pi. Let's see, we've got our Z-axis and a belt. They're in stock. We've got another tool here. Nice blue-handled sprue cutters. Wish I had those a little while ago. You saw me putting together all those 3D printed things that just, they were a pain without sprue cutters. And we've got a small, looks to be about 50-gram PLA test piece. This is, like, even if it's properly dried, not worth our time. It's just, there's not enough of it, and I've got plenty of other stuff. We've got our SD card and a couple of spare bits. We've got a second nozzle. We've got a PTFE coupler. We've got the card reader, SD card, and a couple of snaps to make sure things don't start falling apart. Okay, zip ties are all that's left in the big bag. We're not going to need these for a while. We're not going to use them until it gets time to start managing some cables. We've got a QC pass, which I can't read that, it's in Chinese. We've got a bag full of screws. We've got, let's see, HM 5x4.5, 4 pieces. So I'm thinking that's a hex machine screw size. Anyways, we've got a bunch. I'm sure you can read this. Just take a minute and flip your head upside down. Set that to the side. Then we've got all of our other little bits and bobs. We've got several Allen keys. We've got a couple of these spanners, wrenches, whatever you want to call them, and then 2 screwdrivers, flathead and a Phillips. Okay, so I know for sure we're going to be breaking out the Allen keys relatively quick, so I'm going to go ahead and get those handy. Oh, we've got 4 of them. I miscounted. Those will be fine there for now. We'll set the other tools to the side. So I'm not sure how this goes. I'm pretty sure this is the proper orientation for that. Especially since there's some rubbed off paint right there that looks to be a dead-on match for this screw. The only question is, does this plate go on this side or this side? We'll find out in a bit. We will be back and forth a lot with the instructions on exactly how to put this together. And the instructions are, once again, buried under the extruder. So user manual says, where do we start? We start at a inventory of what all we have, which I'm going to ignore for now. Okay, so it looks like we start out with these. So on the left hand side, we've got the one without the holes, and it's got 2 holes down at the bottom, about like this. And the right side for me, left side for you, has got the holes with the shorter distance, according to this, like this. Okay. So we've got those, so we're probably about to have to flip this over, so we'll get this off the top here. Yeah, so maybe manhandling it a little bit, but that will be okay. It lists which screws we need. We need the hex machine screw 4x20. And let's see. No, that's for the power supply. We need the hex machine screw 5x45. So 5x45. I don't have a way to measure this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and dump these out. Make sure they're somewhere easy to reach, and then see about organizing them by size. So bear with me for just a moment as I do so. Just don't want to lose any under the machine. Okay, so we've got 4 here. We've got 4 we've got 4 that are 18 long. We've got 4 that are 25 long. We've got 4 that are 45 long. So out of those, let's see, how many of those are hex? Looks like we've got the slightly longer hex. The 5. And we need the by 45. So these are going to be the longest. So it's got to be these. And they've got those pre-installed washers. That will be fine. Just got to double check right here. There we go. We've got the right tool. So let's flip this up on this side and run 2 of these. Get those started. The bit they screw into is on here. So get the bottom one through just a touch. Get that started by a thread or 2, and then get the other one lined up and started by a thread or 2. Okay, so we are properly connected now. Let's relieve some of that strain and screw these in, not quite tight, but enough that it holds itself together, because when you're doing something like this, you don't want it all the way tight in every screw at the first try, because there will be some adjustments later on. Okay, that feels like it's getting close to bottoming out, so we're going to back up by a couple of turns, and that looks about right for this one as well. So we're going to flip and repeat. So these 2 long ones, and it makes sense that it's the long ones, so they've got to go all the way through this aluminum extrusion. And just verifying these 2 screw holes on the bottom that go to the Z-axis stop are in the correct place. It really does not matter which one we get to grab first, as long as they both grab. And that's actually going a lot smoother than the other one. The threads cut, or the holes through the extrusion, were a little bit rougher on the other side. And I am not putting much of any effort into getting these in there, because like I said, I don't want it to be like tight before we move on. Next thing it suggests we do is install the power supply. Power supply, pulling it up. It's got 115 and 230. It is currently set to 230. Probably wouldn't hurt anything, but that's definitely not going to work unless it's switched over to 115, like what I normally use. Okay, so we've got that, and it looks like we've got holes that line up about like this. And for that, we need 2 hex, so they're going to be one-offs. Let's see. 2, 3. Are they hex heads? Yeah, they're hex by 20. Let's see. Nope, don't know how to measure that one. But it's going to be something we only have 2 of. It doesn't look like the button head. So I think it's going to be these, because we've got 20 and 18. So these seem to be cut the same way and are the same length. This one slightly longer. Okay, so this looks like the 20 and then the 2 18s. So let's see, yep, that's the right size. And I'm going to go for the top one first, just because I can. And I will say, very hard. Very hard getting this lined up just right. Okay, that's in by a couple of threads. Unlike all of the other components that we were worried about, having it tight right off the bat, this, I believe, is not going to be an issue being tight right off the bat because there's nothing that attaches to it. It only attaches to other things. Gotta find that hole. Okay. We got our first few threads in. It's going right in, no problem. Okay, so that chassis felt quite flimsy, so I'm going to put just a tiny amount of torque on there and just hand feel about the same. So next thing, we need the Z-stop. I may have put one of these together before and know how to do it. So bear with me as we go through this again. Okay, so following along in the guidebook, which if you've got one of these, you've already got one. You know how that goes. We're going to use these two screws to go through these two holes. And we're going to find the right size. Okay. And this one has slots. See, that's what I get for being dumb and not starting it with my fingers. I have to go find it. Where'd you go? Back here. Okay, cool. Yeah, with just about everything mechanical like this, you want to start screws with your fingers. If you start it with anything else, you don't have quite the feel for it. Meaning you may cross thread or just drop it out. Like what I just did. I just dropped it out. Okay. You started. Okay, started enough. And let's see, it says installation height about 5 millimeters. So I may have mentioned it before, but yeah, I have definitely probably built one of these before, and in my experience, just all the way down was correct. We will see if that holds true. Came in handy for the bed leveling. Okay, it is just barely in place. If something pushed on it, it would probably move. But that's okay, because this is first time. Okay, next thing on our list, we've got our Z-axis done. We're now on page 5 on the right-hand side. We've got these countersunk screws that we're looking for. So like that, if you can see that. And there's another one. And here we go. We've got the Z-axis stepper. So we need that, and we need the Z-rod. I don't believe that there's any directionality to the Z-rod. We're just going to slot that right in. Once we get that slotted in, let's find the correct size and put that in loosely. So the way that this one works is it's got a collar, and it's definitely still not the right size. Huh. Maybe they didn't send me the correct size. Do I have another one of these laying around? No. I legitimately do not have another one of these laying around, and I don't have the right size. So, oh, I do have one of these laying around. It was in the bag still. I confused it for a screwdriver. Oh, yeah, that's already almost tight up top. So, you can see that it crushes against the Z-screw. Z-screw is in place. Not like super duper tight, but it is reasonably tight. And for this next portion, I have to get around to the back side over here to get this in. And to get that in, I need 2 screws, 1 on each side. So I'm going to try to do this from this side. That same size screw? That is the same size screw. Okay. Okay, first one is started. Time for the second one. And yes, this definitely would have been easier if I had followed the directions and put that Z-screw on second. You know what else? We're moving this out of the way. There's no point in making that harder for ourselves. Okay, so that's in lightly with not a lot of torque. And we're going to repeat over on this side. So one of the first upgrades I'm going to do is I'm going to swap that out. I don't like that. Okay, so that's loose but not going anywhere. Let's see what our next step is. Our next step, we're going to start working on the x-axis. So we need this guy. Needs to be facing like this. We need the button head machine screws. There are 2 of them that are 18. And just size comparison. I think they're all the same size. I legitimately think they're all the same size. So let's do... Yeah, we've got 4 4x18s. Okay, so we're good. So we need 2 of these. Are going to attach this carriage that's going to go on the back side to this rod. How does that sits on there like that? Where does this rod go? Does rod go here? This rod goes there. Okay, cool. I think that is correct. Oh, yeah, that would do it. Okay. So I have properly lined it up as best I can. I need to find, let's see, this guy, I think. Nope. This guy? Nope. It's the one I just set down. Of course it's the one I just set down. I have no idea where it went. Oh, right here in reach. Like it should be, just not quite where I want it. Okay. Let's pre-insert down these holes. Oh, you can't see it very well. But yeah, right there. And then we've got another one that goes in, I guess from this side. Fits in about like that. Now I just need to line those up, and since I can't reach those with my fingers, I will absolutely have to start it with the Allen key. Shove down the holes. Being able to start a screw like this without having your fingers on it is definitely a skill. Okay, since this is going to be particularly difficult to get to, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that feels lined up, and then go ahead and tighten it. It's got a crush washer on there, so it's not going to back out. Okay, that's what I would call finger tight. And it feels straight. We'll find out for sure when the belt goes on. Then I'm going to get you in here. Tighten you up just a touch. Okay. Do the same with the other side. There you go. And this is going to sit something like this. Okay. Got you on, and we have lost a small piece of metal of something to something. We have lost the spring on the Z-axis. It really doesn't help that I'm fighting with all of this other stuff in the area at the same time. Maybe don't do this to your build plate. Okay, so I am actually getting it in there, and fairly reliably. Just not bent out enough. Very gentle on it. I was very, very gentle on it, and it still did not go well. I think I can probably do just a touch more. If I can't, then I will be headed to the store to see if there's anywhere that sells one of these micro switches. Hear that? It's in. Maybe doesn't stick out as far as I would like, but you know, whatever. Okay, so how does this go? Once we've done that, we've got a belt that needs to go on. So that's going to be this belt we had off sitting on the side. Okay, so I'm thinking it probably needs to go through here, because on the end you've got that that belt guide. Okay, we got it through one way. Get it through the other. There we go. We got it through. We got it resting on the belt guide. Got it flipped the correct direction, and hey, look at that! It fits down in that channel just ever so nicely. Okay, we've got that. Next bit, we need to slide on the hot end, which I think just slides on about like that. Okay, let's be smart about this. There are two ends, and there are two end holders. So when this goes on, it needs, let's see, one on each side. I think we can get that by just sliding it on here. Yes, we've got that. I apologize for the terrible angle. Oh, okay, there we go. Get you off the end so we can put that belt end in there. Okay, we got you. Now we got one more. I feel like we're missing something on the end here. We are, and I think that's okay. I'm gonna wait to put that in for whatever goes on the end here. So once that is on, we need this piece this piece should screw in with those mates to those screws that we found, and should go on the end about like that. And that feels like that fits about right. Okay, so we're lined up. Just need these and the right thing for that. And the belt needs to go around the loop. So we're going to have to undo, undo that so that we can go around this. That's about right. And of course, I keep dropping stuff. Okay, that looks fine. Okay, got all that squared away. We will reset things so that you can see and I can see and we don't break things. And it helps if I have it the right side up. And that I don't try to juggle too many things all at once, which I'm definitely doing. Too many things in my hands all at once. Okay. I will say right now that I'm very thankful that this build plate is as durable as it is, because it is seeing a little bit of abuse right now. Okay, there we go. Very bad angle to do this. Very bad angle to film this. But very bad angle to do this. Okay, that one's not even finger tight, but it is all the way in. This one feels like it's cross-threading. So if you feel it start to cross-thread, you back out until you hear that click, and then it should be lined right up. Yeah, maybe there's just something in the threads, because it definitely backed up to the click. And then it doesn't look like it's going in sideways, it just feels like there's some crud in there in the threads. That's okay. I don't think this joint, even if it is ever so slightly loose, is going to affect the printer all that much, or its ability to print. Okay, that's on there nice and tight. Let's go ahead and see if we can squeeze this through, and there we go. We have the both ends in. Whew, that was harder than it should have been. I know better, and I could have made that easy, but I didn't. But if I did, would I be me? Okay. So this, take a look at the directions. It says there's some belt chutes, and we tighten with this thing over here, and we're gonna move right along. Next step, this slides onto these rails. Oh, okay. It looks like that sitting right there on top of the Z-axis screw. There we go. Brought that down just a touch. It's a good idea. Okay, so this, we're going to go find the right tool for that. Not the big one, the next to big one, the next to big one. Okay, we're going to pull a bit of tension on here and get these in the ballpark. I would not call that tight, would not call that loose. I would call that a little bit tighter than finger tight. Get these close. Let's loosen this up just a touch. There we go. Can move it again. I'm keeping some pressure while making sure that it's level and lined up. Because if I don't keep it leveled and lined up, it may actually tweak the belt just a little bit and make it rub in that channel. Okay. It may be just a touch tight, but it moves just fine. Okay, so seeing as we've got most of this together, we're going to see, okay, good. This piece is going to be our next piece, and it sits on top like that. We only have 4 screws left. And those not just dropping right down into the threads is exactly why we did not tighten up everything on the bottom all the way just yet. Okay. It's not the right size. Is that the right size? That is the right size. So we're going to get these finger tight. Okay. Okay, that all looks pretty good. We're going to flip you over on your side. If I was a smart man, I would have turned it the other way, because I am right-handed. That is the correct size there. We're going to tighten that up a bit, but not all the way. Whoop. We're going to tighten you up just a bit, not all the way. Then we're going to flip it the other way, because I'm right-handed. We're going to tighten you up a bit, not all the way. So it's a lot tighter than just finger tight at this point, but it's not like cranked down. Like, I don't want to stretch threads, especially not yet. Okay. Let's get you pressed and tight. One's not tight. And one's not tight on the other side. Okay. And are you tight? Very tight. So I'm not quite as tight as the factory, but that's okay. Okay, now we can do these top ones. I'm using approximately the same amount of force on all of them. If you're using an impact, this is usually about 2 clicks. Two hammers on the impact. Okay. We are now done with everything except for the spool holder, which we don't need. We've already got a couple of good ones. And also, this can lead to some instability and shaking and whatnot. Let's see, are you tight? Yeah, I think that's about as tight as we could possibly want that. And now, it's just a lot of plugging things in. So that's easy. Okay, so we're going to take the Bowden tube. We're going to squeeze that in, shove it all the way in, pull it out, grab one of our clippy deals so that it doesn't come back out. We're going to clip you in there so you can't come loose. Good stuff. Okay. So I'm going to do a lot of turning this around so that I can actually see what I'm doing, because it's going to be tough. Okay. So this one right here that says Z, that also says Z. So I know, where is it? There's it. Oh boy. I just shook your teeth out and I know it. Can't believe I did that. Okay. Let's see. This is all not Z. This is Z. So this is going to plug into the stepper motor on the lower side. Then we've got our Z in-stop switch. I'm going to fish around the corner and figure out where this plugs in. Oh, it plugs in on the bottom of that micro switch. And it really helps if you have it turned the correct way. If you have it turned the correct way, it actually goes in instead of fighting you. Okay, Z is done. We've got E for extruder, and then we've got X for the X-axis. Then we've got filament detector, and then X again. X end stop right here. So let's start on the back side. We're going to go with the X for the X-axis. And make sure you're turned around just the right way. And plug in that stepper motor. It didn't move on its own, I guarantee that. Okay. We need, let's see, this is the X end stop, which goes in on the end over here. Feels like that's all the way in there. So now we just have the extruder motor, which plugs in on the bottom side here. Then we've got the filament detector, which I think I'm going to take off. It just plugs in back here on this side, but it's got limited usefulness. It's an okay filament guide, so if I do take this off, I need to come up with some kind of guide. But it's kind of bad. Like, the actual filament sensor, oh, sorry, shook your teeth out again. Filament sensor is a good idea. The gap right here is terrible. It is a bear to get it through here. Ugh. Okay, we got all the things plugged in from the wire looms, and it says we're basically ready to turn it on and give it a start. So before we get going, I'm just going to stick all of the tools back into the tool bag. We will come up with a good way to stash these near the printer in case we need to use them. Clean up some of our trash. Okay. More trash, more trash, more trash. Okay. And up in the very, very front, we're going to go ahead and stick in our SD card, which I think goes in upside down. It does. Okay, cool. Next bit. We're going to take out the power cord. Oh, that reminds me, there's a bit we did not do yet. And hold on to your teeth, because I need to find something and then bring it back. Okay, cool. Gotcha. We've got this end and this end. They need to go together, and I cannot see any of that. I have a feeling that Y needs to be a little bit tighter, the Y belt. Okay, we've got our power plugged in. See, there's our power in over there. We've got this. That looks fine. But with the Y-axis just sliding around willy-nilly, yeah, that doesn't feel like that's quite right. I think we need the next to biggest. I don't know why that would be loose. For like shipping or whatever, but it's definitely not like it ought to be. Yeah, that's not under any tension at all. Is that not how we tension that? Well, that's definitely how we tension that. These stay reasonably tight. We'll get that finger tight again. Bend this. Okay. And it's just by feel. It probably shouldn't be, but it is. I think second upgrade, after I come up with a better filament path, is this. Make it a little bit easier to adjust. because it's a pain. It really is a pain. Not that it needs to be adjusted all that often, but you know, when you need to adjust something, you need to adjust something. Getting it once not tight just yet, just again. Okay. Tools done, set aside. Let's get our filament out. I know it doesn't have a handy dandy tear corner thing, so we're gonna have to cut this sucker open. There we go. Got that. I can't think of anything else this might be useful for other than testing that filament runout sensor. Right? Okay, so let's get this in there and get it plugged in and get our first test print going. Okay, and we're back. We've got the printer plugged in, should be ready to go. Let's do some manual leveling before we really turn it on. So that'll slide all the way down. Okay. So that bumped into... Oh, that's not what happened. It's a good thing we did that before it started printing things. Let's unplug it. We have the plug handy if we need that. Oh no, that did not sound good. Okay, so let's see if we can get it where you can see that. Yeah, you know how I said I wasn't doing it super duper tight because we're going to go back and tighten it? And then you didn't see me go back and tighten it? It's because I didn't. Is that the right one? That is not the right one. Is this the right one? That is the right one. Yes, okay. So let's, ooh, tight. There we go. You hear that? It slotted right in like it was supposed to be there. As it was. Okay, one's not tight. Do it really tight. Yeah, and the Z-axis moves too. So let's get that a little bit tighter than finger tight. Oop. Okay, that's in there good and tight. Get this other side. Yeah, that's not tight at all. Now, all it is the slack up here. I think this is supposed to have a decent amount of slack so that wobbling Z-axis doesn't break anything. Okay. Now we've got that squared away. Flip these a little bit further in. Get that where we can see. Bring it down. That slides right off the edge. Okay. So I can see the nozzle. It hasn't yet hit the Z end stop. Okay. So we, I think, need to adjust our Z end stop up just a touch, because that's not super flexible. That's in a good spot, and it's not the big one. Why do I keep pulling out the big one? Because I want it to be the big one. That one either. That one. Do you just touch? Slide you up. About there, about midway. Okay. So that clicks that just before. Okay. So now we are sure it's not going to crash. Let's get some power to it. kick her on. Okay, so she's on. Let's go to tool, let's go to leveling, and let's go to 0.1. Point one. Okay, so I don't know that you can see it, but I am adjusting here. So it's just below that head. Okay, let's go to 0.2. And you can see, well, I can see there's a little bit higher over here than it is over here. Okay. Okay, I think that's close. Go to 0.3, which is that back far corner. Or this back far corner. And gotta get my head down there, get it to touch, and then back it off just so. Go to 0.4. So I could be doing this with a piece of paper, and for being honest, that may actually be a not terrible idea. But I've been meaning to try to figure out how to level without having to use a piece of paper. And that looks... Is that touching? I can't tell. Let's do the peel. And then the back. Let's go to move. Can we... Yeah, that's definitely too low. Get that up by 10 millimeters. Let's go back. Let's go back to leveling. Let's go to 0.5, which is probably where we should have started. Get these a little bit closer to the ends. We may be dealing with a little bit of warp. Wrong way. Okay, that's got it just off. So let's y minus, no, plus. No touching. Doing my best to keep that as even as I can. Okay, so let's exit over. Huge gap there. Let's get it back onto the build plate. Okay, that's in the ballpark. That didn't sound good. Okay, so we need to go up. We need to Y forward. And then we're going to bring our Z down. That actually looks about right. Okay. To get our Z up a bit, it's these top bits of the clips that it's colliding with back here. We still need the clip. We just don't need this handle. Better clips are in my future. Let's see if we can get it right there next to the edge. Okay, so now get our Z back down. Okay, that's in the ballpark. Let's go back. Let's go leveling. Let's go 0.5, which is right there in the middle. And let's go back to move. Does it move? Still, it's like there's some warp in the bed. So let's see. I don't know the right answer for that. For being totally honest. Yeah. Maybe I'm too low and I need to go up some. But I don't know. We'll come back once I get the leveling figured out, and then I'll go back over how I did that. Okay, so I figured out the secret to bed leveling, and it's exactly what everybody tells you. What you do is you heat up the bed first, then you level. It undid a little bit of the warp and was exactly enough, as far as I can tell, to do it properly. We are working our way into our first print, and I'm sure you can hear it, but the fan over here and the fans in here are going like crazy. I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's a deal breaker, but it's a lot. Okay, that's printing in the air just a little bit. So let's adjust up just a touch. Like, it seems to be well done on the back side, just not as much on the front. Okay, that first layer is still a little low. I do not recommend adjusting on the fly like this. Okay, it's not rubbing against anything. It doesn't have any undue pressure up here at the extruder. The front and the back seem to be coming out okay. I think the backside back there could probably stand to go up just a little bit, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Oh, that looks great. Like I said, not going to worry too much about it because I have my very first upgrade already. Just had to pull all that stuff off of that. We've got a BL Touch, a legit BL Touch. And that's going to go on as soon as I can figure out how to do that. And as soon as I figure out how to do that, I'm going to share that because it is shockingly difficult to find good instructions on how to set up a BL Touch on the Neptune 2. There's a little bit on the forums and in Reddit saying, hey, you reach out to Neptune support and they tell you go download this one thing, print it, and that's obviously the place where that attaches, but I'm short on screws, so I'll have to go find some screws and get that clipped on in there. They also supposedly provide a printable bracket that goes in there, so we should be fine. Just need to go get some, I guess, M3s. I'd have to find that. Let's see. Should be M4 or M5. But I think I can get some of those ordered or pick them up at a local hardware store. I think it'll be fine. So what we're printing right now is the test print that comes pre-sliced and installed on the SD card. It's a Buddha, which is an interesting choice, but I guess you kind of have to go with one of the public domain things that can be used anywhere when you're shipping out a printer like this. The Benchy will be coming soon. I'll see about sharing some pictures and or video of that over in the Discord. And yeah, we'll take a look at what all it does and how well it does. And I will provide more updates, say, when I figure out how to get the BL Touch plugged in. Because as soon as we get that, we're going to have more pretty layers on that first layer, and we should be able to get this thing up and rolling. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us here. We've been here for quite some time, and I've been here a little bit longer than you have. But anyway, wish me luck, and I will see you in the next one. Well, it looks like that's going to do it for us today, guys. I wanted to say thank you for hanging around this long. If you did and you haven't already hit subscribe, please do. Just so you don't miss out on any of the other cool stuff coming on down the road. If you'd like to hang out with us, please hit us up on Discord. Link is in the About section on the channel, or you can go to discord.onesnot.com, and I will see you guys in the next one.